the moment of his birth, George showed signs of wondrous things to come. Upon his body were strange birthmarks, the symbols of his future adventures. A blood-red cross was clearly etched on his right arm, while the dark form of a dragon appeared over his breast. His father was High Steward for His Majesty the King of England many centuries ago. On one particular day, there was rejoicing in the castle, for a son was born at last to their house. Laughter issued over the land as friends and neighbors joined the merriment. Only the dark warning of a strange woman, never seen before in the vicinity, broke the mood of the day. She came upon the assembled guests suddenly, looked at the baby and said,
"O Lord and Lady, fear the sight. To you here upon this night St. George was born, the cross to bear into the fray, surpassing all, a dragon slay. But ere he parts to join the fight, he will be gone beyond your sight."
As quietly as she had appeared, she again vanished, nor was anyone able to recall her presence in the village before. On the day following, the child's nurse ran from the nursery shouting,
"The baby! My lord, my lady! The baby is gone!"
Indeed, the baby had disappeared. His room was undisturbed, and there was no sign of other persons having entered the castle or the child's chamber. The king's steward, the father, sent messengers to all corners of the land to search for the child. One by one, the messengers returned from their futile search. Some brought tales of possible hope, which ended in greater sorrow when they proved false. But the image of the strange woman and her words stayed with everyone.
Ere he parts to join the fight, you will be gone beyond your sight.
This indeed was the act of an enchantress against whom human efforts would prove of no avail. A pall of sadness descended over the land.
Only I was able to read the signs of the birthmarks foretelling the child's future. George was chosen to become the greatest of the champions of Christendom, and I was his devoted teacher. The wonders of black magic, the secrets of the earth, the powers of deeds unknown to mortals, all these were carefully taught the boy. Through his growing years, he was tutored in the arts of knighthood and the glorious purpose of their mission to do good deeds, oppose evil wherever it might be found, defend maidenhood, and fight for God and King. As the child grew, he saw no mortal forms, but the guise in which I appeared before him. Yet did he one day inquire of the manner in which he was born and from whence he had come.
"You are a thoughtful tutor, enchantress, and have taught me many things. However, I have had questions of another nature which have long beset me. May I speak them?"
Although I could feel my hold on the boy beginning to wane by such thoughts, I could not deny him the request.
"I have learned of my destiny and the marks upon my body which allude to it, but I know nothing of the world beyond these high walls in which I am to meet that future. I know nothing of what has transpired before, of whom I will be in the world. Am I enchanter or man? Is my strength human or of magical origin?"
George, you are of mortal born, of high station. Your father was High Steward of England, and your mother of royal lineage. Your parents left this world shortly after I brought you here. This has been your home since that day.
"And when am I to leave? I must earn my manhood, and I am eager to meet the tests of knighthood. I wish to lay eyes upon the place of my birth."
I called upon all my wiles to wipe such thoughts from his mind. But there came that day when I knew I could no longer contain his spirit. I could not hold him against his will. George, you are now indeed prepared to make peace with your destiny. Before you depart, however, you must be properly clothed for a knight errant. In this armory are all manner of lances, shields, gilt spurs, and a coat emblazoned with a red cross on a white field. This will be your mark, and by this sign will you hereafter be known.
What is that great sword at the end of the hall?
That is the sword of St. George. No human strength can meet its challenge. It is named Ascalon.
A sword worthy of a true knight.
This will be your mighty weapon for the forces of right. Now go forth to make your peace with destiny. The ages will record the deeds of St. George of England.
To arms, I go forth in the quest for the right, to battle for the cause of Christendom.
For 2 years, George traveled over land and sea, doing battle with evil, proving himself immortal. All whom he encountered learned to respect the fiery steel of the sword Ascalon, and the bravery of the young knight who traveled the roads with a bright red cross on his tunic and a glistening sword at his side bore proof of his prediction. Reports of his exploits traveled far before him, and so it came to pass that his travels brought him to a small town in the ancient country called Lydda. Wearied from his long ride, he sought shelter that evening in a cottage by the road.
Old man, I'll seek rest this night for my horse and myself. We have come afar, and wish only a soft place to lay our heads.
Stop your barking. Can't you see it's only a tired night? Forgive the animals, sir. This is no sign of a lacking of hospitality, but rather the only protection available to one too weak to resist death. You may partake in our poor fare to spend this evening resting, but I urge you to leave this unfortunate place on the morrow.
I thank you. What is it that you fear, old one?
Let me help you remove the armor, and I will tell you of the woes which have befallen us. Our lands were once fertile and rich with grains of many varieties. We were renowned for the vigorous health of our people, and the beauty of our women was known to all. Young men would come from all the outlying areas to find wives in these serene lands.
Yes, the good fortune of your country is well known.
Oh, sir, if you had arrived by day, these words would have a hollow ring. Our fields are no longer laden with foodstuffs, and only desolation greets the eye as far as you can see.
Has some pestilence struck?
Aye, a pestilence, one so great there is no hope for its end. All this has been wrought by the dragon.
A dragon?
A great monster with fire and smoke emitting from its nostrils, standing taller than a cottage roof, with thick, scaly skin and a long, thrashing tail, and wings with which to beat its victims to death. Its breath is filled with poison, and all it touches is destroyed at once.
Have you laid eyes on the dragon, old one?
I? Oh, no. I am but an old, tired soul. No one has seen the dragon who has ever returned to tell of it. We know only of its victims.
Has the dragon been the cause of this poverty?
Our poverty and our sorrow. As his appetite was unfilled, he roamed the land in search of food. Some of the elders began to offer human sacrifices to satisfy the beast. Soon it became the only manner in which it was possible to keep it at its lair. Each day another human was offered, until now it is only young maidens it desires. Every morning another one is brought to the edge of the dragon's lake, bound to a tree and left to her doom. Thus is it hoped to spare the entire town.
Has no one the courage to fight the beast?
Many a knight has attempted to best it, but they have all been overcome. The shores of the lake are laden with their bodies, and the hunger of the monster grows with each day.
Is there no knight brave enough to entice the dragon from its lair and put it to destruction? Who is the greatest among them?
Prince Almidor of Morocco is reputed to be the knight of greatest strength.
And where is this Almidor? Why has he not defended you?
He has counseled caution to the king. Even now he is gathering about him a band of knights waiting for the proper moment to strike.
While they plan and discuss, the dragon continues to kill the maidens. I do not understand such bravery.
I implore you, young sir, do not judge them harshly. The dragon has fearful powers. None can overcome it.
I understand now the significance of my strange birth and long torment. Do you see this sign of the dragon imprinted on my chest? It has been as a sign of higher purpose since my birth. It has guided my life. This must be the end of my long search. On the morrow I shall meet your king. I am prepared to save you from the dragon.
Young knight, for what purpose do you approach the castle?
I come to see the king.
What do you wish with the king?
I come to rid your land of the dragon which lives in the lake.
Lower the drawbridge. Enter the castle.
Lead me to His Majesty, I pray you.
Hold but a moment, young knight. I am Almador, Prince of Morocco. I am advisor to the king. It pleases me greatly to add such a brave knight to our band.
I have heard of you, Almador, and your counseling of delay. Move aside. I have no patience for such tactics. Let me but pay my respects to the king, and I will be off to battle.
Many before you have spoken in similar haste and anger. Their eagerness died on the shores of the lake, as will yours, I predict. You need not prove your bravery by such foolhardiness. My counsel is sound. We would rather meet the beast on other ground, with sufficient help to assure the victory.
Hold to your own thoughts, Almador. I cannot abide by such womanly talk.
Almador, I have been told of another knight's arrival.
Your Majesty, he has been held for a word of welcome.
Come forward, knight.
Your Majesty, I cannot longer delay. I seek your blessing before I mount for battle with the oppressive dragon.
Brave knight, we welcome you to this troubled kingdom. Then it is true that you have also come to fight the dragon? Many other brave ones have departed, but none have returned.
A true knight, sire, is not easily set aside by such fears. I shall slay the dragon or give my life in a glorious attempt.
Sire, the loss of still another knight in such a futile effort is unnecessary. If he would remain until we have a force of greater strength...
Your blessing, sire! That is all I seek, and I will be away.
I am sorely grieved this day because my only daughter has been offered to the great appetite of the dragon. In vain did we try to dissuade her, but the thought of other maidens sacrificed each day has saddened her. With her loss, there would be no further hope for my kingdom. There seems no end to our travail.
Your Majesty, I swear upon my sword that I shall return with your daughter, and proof that I have slain the dragon.
The path to the lake was not difficult to follow, for it lay along a trail of armor and bones. George rode swiftly, seeking the princess, and fearing he would arrive too late. Suddenly, he saw her figure before him. The sight of the young, beautiful girl, dressed in pure white silks among the trees, moved his heart. She sat calmly, waiting for her certain death. At the sound of his approach, she turned toward him and waved him away.
Good sir, turn from your path. Flee at once, lest you perish before the dragon of the lake.
Do not be frightened, my princess. I know your purpose in being here and have come to save you. With the dragon's death by my sword, we will end this reign of terror.
I see that you are a stranger and do not know of the terrible fate of the others. Brave knight, I implore you, leave at once. Let not your death be added to the many who have perished in this vain attempt. You can neither save me or yourself if you remain.
Make haste, dear princess. Return to your father's court. The time has come. The beast rises from the lake. I have my duty here.
Farewell, knight. My heart's wishes are with you. May you triumph and return to us soon.
So this is the long-awaited fate, my destiny. I have thought of you long and hard, dragon. Send forth thy venom and flame. Spew thy poison and evil. We await thee, Escalon and I.
So George fixed his lance and charged into battle against the fiery dragon. Time and again, the heat of the vicious flames pouring out of the wide nostrils of the horrible beast drove him back. Again, the brave knight spurred his horse into the fray and tried his lance against the tough hide. The lance was shattered, and the horse fell beneath George. George stood alone. The dragon towered above him taller than the tallest trees, breathing angry fire and thrashing his mighty tail wildly. George drew his mighty sword from his scabbard and prayed for strength as the dragon descended upon him. With all his might, George thrust his sword into the giant body. castle, the king, the princess, and the knight Almador waited for word of the battle. The young princess said to her father,
Father, I know the youth will triumph. No other knight has come with such certainty of his victory and determination of purpose.
My daughter, I fear that he will come to the same end as the others. There's no hope for us.
We must leave at once, Your Majesty. When the dragon finds no maiden for his offering this day, he will again devastate the land.
Where would you have us go, Almador?
Come with me and my men. We can take refuge in the hills until the dragon loses our trail.
I cannot leave my people alone and unprotected. A sovereign's duty is clear. But there's no longer need to sacrifice your young life, my dear. Almador, I would have you take her away and save her from this consequence.
There is no need to flee, Father. The knight is even now engaged in final conflict and must surely succeed. I am certain of his victory. Oh, never have I been so certain before.
Be that as it may, daughter, we cannot delay. When the dragon finds his offering gone, his wrath will engulf us.
Father, we are saved. Hear the bells. The knight returns. The dragon is dead, and the townspeople proclaim the word.
Your Majesty, here is the head of the dragon, as I had promised.
Dear knight, I hail your bravery and courage. You have done us an unparalleled favor, dear knight. By what name are you called?
I am called George, Your Majesty, of a loyal line of stewards to the King of England.
George of England. Let thy name be praised over the land. Come here to my side, for I would speak with you. In what manner can we honor you for the service to our people?
I seek no favors, Your Majesty. The act was done in the duty of a true knight-errant.
Is there no way in which we can show our gratitude?
Your Majesty, you are a gracious and thoughtful sovereign, with the power to perceive the deepest recesses of my soul. There is a favor which you alone can grant.
Speak, my son, and the wish is granted if it is within my power to do so.
Although I have performed the acts and lived the code of chivalry, I have not received the grant of knighthood from a sovereign. It would please me greatly if you could grant such a wish.
This is a small favor to ask from a grateful monarch. Kneel, George of England. With this sword I knight thee in tribute for acts of bravery to the grateful people of Lydda. Rise, Sir George.
I thank you, my lord, for the honor of the assignment in your hands.
Sir George, one other promise have I made, which it is your option to consider now. When the future of our land looked darkest and the death of the dragon seemed impossible to attain, I offered the hand of my daughter to the knight who would rid us of the oppressive beast. I had near forgotten the pledge in these years, but the king's word stands as a rock.
I would be honored to have the princess as my wife, but I do not wish it as a condition of a promise made during the dark hours of the kingdom. If she would have me, I would pledge her my true love and fidelity.
My daughter, come here. Have you heard the words of Sir George?
I have, Father.
Do they have meaning for you, child? Do you consent to the proposal?
I do. I would have him for my husband.
Stand before me, my children, for in this manner have you plighted your troth. Let the news be spread over the land. Sir George of England, may thy name and fame be proclaimed for ages to come as the greatest of the knights and most honored among men.